done it right all your life. You've paid your bills, you've paid your taxes, you've saved and invested for the future, and you've done well. But market dips have done some damage, and lately, you have your doubts about our government's policies. How will you maintain your lifestyle, your health, and your personal freedoms that you cherish? Welcome to Wealth Guardians with Doug Ray, where it's all about the health, wealth, and freedom you need to live life your way all the way. Stand by for strategies you can use to turn your retirement dreams into reality. Now here's the host of Wealth Guardians, Doug Ray.
Oh, well, welcome in this morning. My name is Doug Ray. This is the Wealth Guardians Show. And as always, let me just start the show by saying thank you to all of our servicemen and women who are out there in harm's way. And thank you to all our veterans and all of our first providers, too. We really appreciate what you do for us. And thank you from the bottom of our heart. And let me remind you to go on our webpage at www.thewealthguardians.com. We've got a new and improved webpage now. It's been up and running for a couple weeks. A lot of really neat stuff on there, a lot of white papers, all the radio programs. You can go back and catch some of the interviews we've done over time. So it's worth a quick look. And then there's our Facebook. I encourage everybody to go to our Facebook page, Wealth Guardians Radio Show, and give us a like on there. All right. You know, you only retire one time, and that's why it's so critical you get it right the first time. Because if you don't, if you make a big financial mistake at this stage of your life, well, you may never recover. And you'll be paying for it for the rest of your life. Unfortunately, I see a lot of clients who've made those big financial mistakes. Couples retired, and for whatever reason, they waited to get some help or confirm that they were doing or on the right track. They lay everything out. And then there it is in black and white. It jumps right off the page at me. Turns out they've been overpaying their taxes for the past 10 years. One simple strategy could have saved them from needlessly shelling out thousands of dollars to the IRS every year. But now it's too late for them to do anything about it. That money's gone. The compounding of that money is forever gone. So on this show today, we're going to talk a lot about things we don't want you to do. Today I'm going to tell you what I don't want you to do. Coming up on the show today, I'll reveal how to avoid 5 fatal retirement planning mistakes that could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. And if you've recently retired, or even flirting with the idea of retiring, you don't want to miss this show today. I might even throw in a bonus mistake. You know, I've been doing this now for, I've been in the financial services industry since 1988, and I've been specifically specializing in retirement income planning since 1998. So that's quite a few years and several hundred, if not thousands, of retirement plans that I've done. And these mistakes I see all the time. They keep cropping up. I'm going to highlight these mistakes today. I'm also going to give you a case study evolving around these mistakes. And in fact, the case study is a couple I'm working with this week. We're going to do a Roth conversion case study and then a sequence of return case study. But first, let me get into what I think may be the very first mistake a couple can make, and that's not hiring a financial advisor to help them to create a plan in the first place. Yeah, you say that sounds self-serving. Well, maybe it does, but I'm serious about this, because here's the thing: the financial services world has gotten so complicated now. It's extremely hard for somebody who doesn't put a lot of time, devotion, and study into this business to create a retirement plan for themselves that will last a test of time. For example, most people who are not professionals in this business concentrate on return on their money as opposed to what they need to be concentrating on, and that's cash flow from their money or income. You see, in retirement, it's not necessarily the return on your money, but it's the cash flow off of your money that's so important. That's mistake number one. And we have lots of tools now in order to help us to be able to solve that part of the retirement plan. So don't forget about that when you sit down and you talk to your financial advisor. You know, in life we make choices, and with choices come consequences. We take the stairs or we take the elevator. We eat an apple or we eat a Snickers bar. We drink a Coke or we drink a glass of water. Go to the doctor or ignore those symptoms. Planning for your retirement's no different. You got a choice. You can create a plan or you hope for the best. You wing it. And either way, there's going to be a consequence. But having no plan is almost destined to have a very, very bad ending. And if you save for retirement, good for you. But now what? What about Social Security? What about reducing your taxes? Guarding against inflation? Generating income, like I just mentioned? And how will you withdraw money from your retirement accounts? If you need to make money go further in retirement, if you need to stretch every single dollar, then you need a plan. Get started right now with our 5-point retirement master plan. We're going to give you confidence and the clarity with your money and your retirement. So I would ask you to give us a call and schedule your initial analysis right now. That number's 336-391-3409, 336-391-3409. We've helped literally hundreds of people retire right here in the Triad, and we can help you too. 336-391-3409. Okay, let's talk about another mistake. Not maximizing your Social Security benefits. Now, that's something we've talked about quite a bit here, and we've helped a lot of you do that. But even though Congress is taking away a couple of really wonderful strategies, there's still more strategies out there. And we have a precious few more days for those of you who are 66 and older and who have not filed for benefits to take advantage of one of the best filing strategies available to us. So if you haven't just heard this, then call. Get informed. You have until the 29th of April to take advantage of this benefit, this strategy, this filing option, or it's gone for you forever. So again, if you're 66 or older and haven't filed, then this may be something you need to take a look at. Literally, if you optimize your Social Security benefits, it's going to create thousands and thousands and thousands of more dollars for you over your lifetime. And here's the other thing that's going to, in my opinion, the most important thing this does. Everyone realizes that the survivor gets the higher of the two benefits. And in our society, most of the time, it's our wives that survive us. Why not let your wife have the most survivor benefit she could possibly get, because she very well may need it? So it's so important for you to maximize those Social Security benefits. All right, moving on. Not converting to a Roth IRA. Now, this is so important. Congress gave us a gift back in 1998, and that was the Roth IRA. And what I have seen, most of you don't take advantage of this gift. What a Roth IRA does is it lets you grow your money tax-free and take it out, most importantly, tax-free. Now, yes, there's some limitations on contributions, income limitations, but now everybody can convert to a Roth. It doesn't matter how much money you make. And I see a lot of people who hesitate to convert to that Roth IRA because they think, oh my goodness, I have to pay tax on it. Well, here's the problem. I don't think you quite understand the tax code and how to take advantage of the tax code. Let me give you a case study I'm working on right now with a couple. And for you to understand what I'm talking about, we use a technique called bracket bump. And I'm a member of the Ed Slott Elite IRA Advisor Program, and Ed is constantly harping at us to create as much tax-free income for our retirees as possible, because he believes, as I do, as I believe most of you believe, taxes are going to be higher in the future than they are now, significantly higher. So let's take a look at our tax bracket. A married couple filing jointly, from $18,500 up to $75,000 of taxable income, you're in the 15% bracket. That's a big, big bracket. Then from 75 to 151, you're in the 25% bracket. That's another huge bracket. Here's where you're losing value. Here's where you're not able to take advantage of our tax code right now. You know, tax rates could be twice this in the future. So a bracket bump technique is basically look at what your taxable income is and then convert your IRA to a Roth IRA up to but not into the next tax bracket. So let me give you an example of this couple I'm working with. They're very fortunate that they have a pension and their taxable income is $71,383. But they also have the deductions and the exemptions, which brings their taxable income down to $50,683. So if we know how to use our tax bracket, that means they could convert about $24,000 of their IRA to a Roth before they jump themselves into that next bracket of 25%. So what does this mean? This means you are converting year by year your Roth or your IRA dollars to Roth dollars at the most tax efficient way possible. Now let's take this to a final conclusion. Well, let me hold on that till we come back from the break, because this is important. I want to show you what this means into the future in terms of dollars and cents, because it's hard for people to go ahead and pay Uncle Sam more taxes today than they have to. And I know your CPAs are all about paying as little tax as possible, but you've got to have some vision. You've got to look into the future a little bit to understand the benefit of paying tax now as opposed to later. So we're going to get into that example in just a moment when we get back. You're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show here on 94.5 WPTI, the Piedmont's news, talk, and sports station. And welcome back. I'm Doug Ray. This is the Wealth Guardian Show. You know, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. But wouldn't you rather prevent it from happening in the first place? That's especially true when it comes to your money and your retirement. Because if you make a mistake at this stage of the game, it could be too late. We've been talking about the 5 major mistakes I've seen retirees or pre-retirees make in retirement. When we broke for the break, we were talking about converting to a Roth IRA. I had outlined a case I'm working on now called a bracket bump and how to take advantage of the current tax code. You see, from $18,000 to $75,000, we're in the 15% bracket, and then from $75,000 to $151,000, we're in the 25% bracket. I outlined a situation where a couple who had a pension, and I realize most of you don't have this pension now, but they do, how we were able to convert $24,000 a year from IRA money to Roth money and keep them in the 15% tax bracket. Now let me carry that one step further. Let's say that we've got this $24,000 that we don't convert. It sits in an IRA, and it grows for 10 years at 5%. It ends up being about $40,000 at the end of 10 years. Now, if they take that $40,000 out, and let's assume taxes have gone up. Let's just say they double. And I've seen a lot of case study that says it could more than double from here. But But let's just say it goes from that 15% bracket up to the 30% bracket. That basically means they're going to be paying taxes of about $12,000. So they're only going to have $28,000 of net income, net disposable income to use. All right, let's go back. Let's say they've decided, let's convert to a Roth today. They take $25,000, $24,000. They convert it, pay the tax on it. So now in the Roth account, they have $21,250. They don't have the $24,000 because they had to pay the tax. It gets the same 5% return for 10 years. They end up with $34,614. Now, if you remember from the IRA example, the standard IRA, they had $40,722. So they actually had more in their IRA than they do in their Roth. But unfortunately, $12,000 in their IRA is Uncle Sam's. They only get $28,000. In the Roth IRA, it's all theirs. $34,614 is all theirs. No sharing with Uncle Sam. That's about $6,000 more money they get to keep for themselves and their family. And a couple of other benefits. In a Roth IRA, there's no required minimum distributions at age 70 and a half. And with a Roth IRA, your spouse can inherit it, and then your children can inherit it as a stretch version, and they can keep it for their retirement. You can compound the magic of interest compounding tax-free. That's triple compounding for your heirs. Pretty amazing stuff. Well, let's move on. Here is another one, and honestly, I don't know how to solve this one, but I've seen it a lot, and it will really, really foul up a retirement. And that's supporting your adult children. I mean, it's all too common now. You know, they come back, they can't get a job, they've got student loans they got to pay for, and here you are with a 28-year-old, 30-year-old back in the house. You never expected that to happen. What do? You going to throw them out of the house, kick them to the curb? I don't have the heart to do that, and I don't think you do either. And again, that's why I say this is something I don't know how to solve for you. I mean, I can solve the money part of it, the math part of it, the compounding interest part of it, the tax part of it, but this one I can't solve. But it's all too common now. And I know your kids don't want to be there either. They really don't. But it is a problem, and hopefully if you hear this, you hear us talking about this, if you see this coming potentially up in your life, maybe you can somehow head it off at the pass. But it's a very, very difficult situation. Okay, the next one that's all too common is not updating your plan on a regular basis. You know, I tell everybody that comes in to see me when I draw these retirement income plans up, our goal is to get you through the rest of your life, which to me is age 100, maintaining your standard of living without running out of money. Now, you may say, age 100, I'll never make it that long. Well, you probably won't. But you do have a good chance, at least one of you, one of a couple, has a very good chance of making it into their 90s. So if I can create a plan that carries through age 100, then I'm pretty satisfied I have been able to cover 90+% of the probability. But here's the problem. As good as our software is, they all have the same problem, no matter which product you use out there on the market. There's many planning softwares. They all create a linear calculation. In other words, if you plug in a 5% rate of return, it's going to be 5% year after year. If you plug in a 3.3% inflation rate, it's going to be 3.3% throughout the plan. Now, here is where it doesn't work. Your life isn't like that. Your life is not linear. It's not straight line. Things change. You may decide to move from North Carolina to Florida when you retire. Well, you have to be able to account for changes in your life. And that's why I tell my clients we're going to meet at minimum once a year. Now we can meet more than that if you want, but the absolute minimum is once a year because number one, obviously we want to review the investment performance, but number two, and more importantly, we want to see if anything's changed in your life that makes a difference in this plan. And if it does, then we have to absolutely make the changes necessary in your plan that will affect what's happened to you. So at minimum, you've got to meet with your advisors. So if you just tuned in to us, you're listening to the Wealth Guardians here on 94.5 WPTI. And today we're talking about mistakes that I've witnessed folks make in retirement planning and in retirement in general. And I've seen literally hundreds and hundreds of these folks over the years come through the office, and a lot of the mistakes are pretty much the same. I want to encourage everybody right now who's listening to this show, if you haven't sat down and worked with an advisor or even tried to create a retirement plan, a written retirement income plan, if you don't know exactly where you're getting your income from, which accounts they're coming out of, how to create a most tax-efficient income plan, give us a call. I would love to sit down with you and talk with you, and I'll do one for you, and I'll do it absolutely free of charge, at no cost or obligation to you. All you have to do is call into the office and get on our calendar. That number's 336-391-3409. 336-391-3409. Okay, mistake number, I don't know, I've lost count now, but this is a mistake, and it's all too common. I see it all the time. I call it the sequence of return risk. That's the fancy name that we call this in the industry. What you might call it is basically having too much of your assets at risk and you go into an awfully bad stock market right when you retire. One of the things I like to do when I create a plan for you is I like to stress test the plan. And how I stress test this plan is we take a look at your asset allocation model the way you are now, and we say, okay, what would happen to this couple if the first day they retired, we hit a 15-year period like we started in the year 2000? Do you remember that? From 2000 to 2002, our stock market lost 50% of its value. 9/11 had a lot to do with that, but nonetheless, it went down for 2 years. It bottomed in October of 2002, and it rose for the next 5 years to get back to where it was in 2000. Then in 2007, we rolled over one more time and down into 2009. March of 2009 lost another 50% of the market. How would that affect your situation? Well, let's go back to that couple I've been working with this week. You know, this couple, granted, is in above average, good shape. They're a professional couple. They have $1.6 million set aside in retirement assets. They have a pension. They need $8,000 a month to live off of. So here is what would happen to them if their assets grow at 5% a year. They have the pension of $68,000, and I have their assets protected from loss. Through age 100, they can maintain that standard of living. They can even grow it. And by age 100, that $1.6 million nest egg will be $4.2 million. Now let's reverse this situation. Let's say they go through a sequence of return situation. They go through that 15-year period I just outlined to you. And let's also say that they don't have a pension like most of you. Most of you don't have a pension. So let's say they need that same $8,000 a month standard of living. They don't have a pension, and now they're drawing off their $1.6 million. And what happens then is at age 100, instead of having $4.2 million, they only have $356,000. But they made it. They made it. But still, it's cutting things way, way, way too close. Well, we've discussed several situations I've witnessed over the future. If you find yourself maybe in one of these, maybe if you want to talk to me about converting to a Roth, I'll run the numbers for you. I'll show you exactly what the situation is going to look like. I'll show you the pros and the cons, where it's going to benefit you the most. All you got to do is give us a call at the office at 336-391-3409. My offer is open to every one of you to come in and sit down. We'll do the Social Security optimization and also the written retirement income plan. That's free of charge. No obligation to you because you're a listener. Hopefully we can cultivate a relationship over time and you can become a client of the Wealth Guardians. Well, until next week, this is Doug Ray and the Wealth Guardian Show on 94.5 WPTI, the Piedmont's news, talk, and sports station.